the Motorola Razr Fold has arrived, and we're going to go ahead and review this thing and a first impression. And it's not going to be your typical box opening because you can see I've already got it here. But we'll go ahead and show you what's in the box. Check this out. This came in the box here, and of course it was wrapped in this deal here. But that's it. That's all that's in there. That's the bottom half of the box. This was sitting in here like so, and what's in here, of course, the rest of the box is empty. And then what's in here basically is just a couple things, which is hard to get out, but it looks like it is the charging cable, which, most of them come with. And that's it. There's no case in the box. There is a SIM removal tool right there, but that's it. Of course, the most important thing is the phone itself. Let's go ahead and talk about it. There, I just folded it. It's a beautiful looking device. I got the white simply because everything else I have is pretty much black. I want to get a better variety. Of course, my Honor Magic is gold. So this is pretty slick looking. And this one does not have that texture the black one does. When you look here at it, let's see if I can get it close enough. I don't know if you can see the design there, but there is a design, and you can probably kind of hear it. It's kind of like a linen pattern. I don't know if you ever seen those cross stitch or whatever. It's kind of interesting, and it's definitely a material. It's not metal, it's not glass, but it has a texture to it, and I think it looks pretty slick. And I do like the brushed aluminum that they have here around the cameras. It's really slick looking and very premium looking, I think. Of course, you have your cameras here, and they are raised a bit. And turn that so you can see it maybe. You can see it's a little bit raised, but I think it looks pretty nice. It looks pretty streamlined. Makes it look fat from the top here, but it's pretty thin from the bottom. And just to go over it real quick, you have the SIM card here on the bottom. I'm so glad they still including a SIM. And then the C right there for charging, and you can see there's barely any room around it. Then a speaker down here and a speaker down here on the same side, which I don't care for, because if you're gaming or something, you got the speakers going right there, but hopefully they'll just curve out from your hand. But what's really nice about this speaker system is it's made by Bose. So I'm really excited about testing that out. Now, on the side, it's different than a lot of the phones. It has, of course, the power button, and it's kind of high, and then the two volume buttons right there. And of course, this also is a fingerprint reader. And then right here is an AI button, very similar to that of the Oppo Find N6 here. You can see, it's got the buttons, but everything's on the same side with the Oppo. I'm not quite sure. I like the Oppo style. And then the power button, you can see how high it is. That's crazy high. And now since I've got it here, you can see the thinness of this phone is about the same. It's not rated the same. We'll get into the numbers on a more direct one-on-one review or comparison. But as you can see here, it looks pretty slim. Now this is rounded and curved, where this is more squared off on the Oppo. So we always know that that rounded look around the edge gives it that thinner view or simulated view. So it looks thinner when supposedly it's not, but you can't tell that by me here. And let's look at the hinge. The hinges, they look very similar, almost identical in the design and of course in the look and feel. Now, as far as the curvature, this one is squared off where this one is a bit more round. So this is more like the Honor Magic. See here, I've got the Honor Magic. Honor Magic is round, and it's got the rounded screen too. Yeah, this one's curved a little bit on the screen. I don't think you're going to be able to see that on screen, but you can see here, look at that. The Honor Magic looks even thinner, but that's because it's rounded as well. And we know the Honor Magic is pretty much the same size as the Oppo. So it's all a illusion. And looking at the buttons here on the Honor just has the two buttons, but again, see how much lower they are? Not quite sure why Motorola decided to put everything so high up, but that's what they did. And then you have that 20 megapixel selfie camera right there. And then in the back here, we have all 50 megapixel lenses. We'll go with those later. And of course, the flash. And that flash kind of looks like a two-tone, because I've seen a yellow and I see a white one there. So that'll be interesting to dive into. I like the logo there on the back. That's really nice. Whereas, these, they just have stamped Honor or stamped Oppo on the back, at least, or Oppo. At least this Signal really gives you more. Of course, you have the stamped razor here, but this is more than stamped. You can feel the texture. So it's kind of like it's embossed in there on this backing, whatever it is. So that's enough about going on about this. But let's look at the wideness of this thing. I was worried of it not being as wide as some of these others, but you can see here it's pretty much as wide as the Honor Magic, but it has a border or bezel around it that is a bit thicker, and we will talk about that in other videos. And then as far as the Oppo Find N, again, about the same. And if we stand them up here, they are neck and neck, the same height. Okay, so it's exactly the same height. But when you look at it, is it wider? It's not any wider. These are both considered 6.6-inch exterior screens. So that's interesting that it's the same size. And by looking at them with the screen off, they look pretty similar. Now, something I'm just now noticing is the Oppo came with a screen protector, and so did the Honor and most others, but this one has no factory screen protector. There's nothing on there. So you want to make sure you order and get a screen protector right away, because I have one on order, but it's not going to be here till June 2nd. So there are delays on them. So get yours ordered now, because we need a screen protector on this thing. Now, one last comparison. Let's look at the Z Fold here. Is it wider? That a lot of folks are comparing it to the Z Fold simply because the Z Fold 7 is the only domestic phone that you can get similar to this, other than the Pixel 10 Pro Fold, which we know is quite a bit heavier, wider, and not as tall. So look at these things together. It almost looks like, or does look like, that the Motorola is wider. And putting them together here and trying to match them up, it's really hard to match them up. Let's see, turn it over this way and get one end matched up. It's really hard to tell, but it does feel to me like the Motorola is a slight bit wider. And when we look at these screens, it's really hard to tell, but it looks like it is, simply because of that curved screen. So now let's go ahead and boot this thing up and see how it boots up compared to the Z Fold. Now, I know it's not the same chip. This is last year's 8th Gen Elite. This one's the 8th Gen 5, but it's not an Elite. So I'm thinking they're probably going to be pretty comparable here, compatible. So let's go ahead and press them both at the same time and see what happens. See who boots up first. Okay, it looked like the Razr snapped on first. Now let's just let them sit here and see who powers up. I'm thinking it's probably going to be close to the same. Of course, there's a lot of OI stuff going in there. They're loading up their background stuff, so that may be a little bit different. So the Razr is popping on. Okay, the Z Fold come up first. Okay, I've got them both booted up here, and what's interesting is I'm feeling the back of the Z Fold right here. It is warm already. That's just from booting up. I can't feel any warmth on this one whatsoever. It could be because of this design, but I like that I'm not feeling the heat. Okay, let's see if we can go to a website on both of these. Let's try these. Okay, so we can get a white background. There we go. And let's look at the border on this thing. You can see that the bezel is a bit thicker, but you can definitely see that it's wider than the Z Fold. But there is quite a bit of bezel. The bezel is where it starts to curve, and you don't get any screen real estate on that curve. So all this is to say, this is a really nice side screen, and they didn't go down the narrow road Samsung did. I don't know if you could see it, but I could definitely see it myself, that Samsung is still a little bit more narrow. Hey, I want to take a quick second and thank you for tuning in to the channel as we do our first impression of the Motorola Razr Fold. If you got anything out of this video, do me a favor, smash that like button down below, because it really does help out the channel. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on further content on the Motorola Razr and others. Let's get back to the video. So I wasn't meant to be doing some comparisons in this video, so let's get back to this one. So this is really good feel in the hand. I like the feel. I like the texture on the back, and the screen looks beautiful. And when we open this thing up, I went ahead and put on a live background, as you can see here. That's pretty nice that you can do that on this phone. And I went ahead and installed Motorola widgets. So right here is the clock, which is pretty interesting. And as you can see here, this line around it is actually a battery gauge. I'm at 40%, so it's 40% coverage. And then when you click on this, of course, you get the weather like any other, and I like it. It actually has radar involved, so it gives you all the information that you typically get with others, and I like that. And of course, the clock. So I kind of like that. Now of course, you can put any other kind of widget on there that you want. And then of course, I have the calendar here, my Google Calendar, and if I click on it, of course, it enlarges, which is really nice. And one thing that I've been real concerned about with this phone is, and I like the fact that it has a 6,000 milliamp hour battery, and it has what I believe 80 watts wired charging and 50 watts wireless charging. I have no way to test the wireless charging 50 watts because I don't have anything that charges that fast, but we can definitely test the 80-watt charging. Over here, I have on my desktop, I've got this really nice desktop charger, which is really nice. It'll do up to 140 watts, as you can see here. So that should not be an issue for my phone here. So let's plug this in right here and let's see what it tells us. Right away it says turbo connected. So that's nice. And what are we getting over here on my little device here? It says it is pulling at least 30 watts, 36, 43. So that's pretty nifty. Come on, give me more readings. 60 watts, 65. So it's pulling the wattage now. It's pulling 65 watts. Check that out. So if you look over here on this phone, I'll open up an app called Amper. And where is it? Right here. And this actually tell you what it's pulling. I might have to dim this a little bit so you can see it a little better. So check this out. It is pulling, look at that, 11,000. I've never seen one pull that much before. It's still holding at what, 43 watts. So most of these things, they kind of regulate themselves. So let's open this up. They say you open these up for better charging. So let's do that. But I want to do another app though too. So let's split this screen and let's open up settings and check this out together because I want to see what's really happening here with this app. So we've got okay, it's slowed down, I guess, for cooling purposes so it doesn't overheat, which is good. So let's go here and let's look at the battery. Battery's at 44%. It came out of the box about half charged. So we're at 44% right now. And check this out. We have this thing called charge. It says charging rapidly. 16 minutes until fully charged. 16 minutes from 44 or 45%. Oh, now it says 19 minutes left until fully charged. Okay, it can't make up his mind here. But let's check this out. There is a thing called charge boost. So what this does is when charge boost is on, your phone will optimize charging for safely boosting charging speed. This process may heat up your device. So it's not even on and it's charging. And as you can see over here, it's holding at 25 watts still, 24. So, and all these phones that jumps up and down on the wattage. So let's see what's going to happen once we turn this boost on. So we turn the boost on. Now, is this going to go back up? That would be my assumption since it says it's going to charge it faster. So now with that turned on, what is it saying? 17 minutes until fully charged. But as you can see, this is increasing now. And the pull on the wattage is also increasing. We're up to 30 now. Maybe I can split the screen and you can see both. So it's increasing with that charge boost turned on. So I may keep that turned on because, I plug my phones in once or a day or maybe every other day and let them fully charge. I don't worry about them at all. I don't use wireless simply because I can plug it in and 15 minutes later, all my phones are fully charged. So it's not something I ever worry about. So it looks like it's actually moved up to 30 watts here and you can see it's pulling more. So what's it saying? It's saying 20 minutes left until fully charged. So it can't really make up its mind, but we are up to 49% already. So that's pretty quick. So now while this thing's plugged in and charging, let's go ahead and take a look at some photos. When you open this thing up, oh yeah, real quickly, look at that screen, that dip. It's barely, you can barely feel it. It's there. It's not quite as prominent as something like the Z Fold or of course the Pixel. So as far as in the US, that is the flattest, but you can see Now, over time, it may get worse. Who knows? But as you can see right now, that's not bad. Okay. Matter of fact, I haven't even noticed it this whole time. So let's go ahead and open up Photos. So we'll go here to the Photos app, open up Photos, and check it out. This is my backyard. I took some photos back there, and they all come out really nice. I like the way they look. They look very natural. Now there's different settings on this phone. You could do natural, or you can do enhanced, where it gives you more color. I've got the more natural setting here, and they all look really nice, and it zooms in quite well, from where I was standing. This is 20 times, so that looks pretty nice. Now, of course, if you manually zoom in, it's going to be a bit more blurry, but I think it looks pretty nice. Now, this is right up close using the ultra wide to do some micro photography here, and this looks really good, and it looks really clear. I'm looking forward to do some camera comparisons for sure. So my first impression, I'm pretty impressed. I didn't even talk about the weight, because it didn't seem like a deal to me. And yeah, it it's supposedly heavier, but I'm just not feeling it. The weight is pretty much the same. So if you have any questions about this phone, now is the time to ask. Please leave a comment below. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know what questions you have, and I'll try to answer those in my upcoming videos when I do a fuller comparison with this phone and others. And then we'll also do some how-tos, because this is a different OS than the rest of them. So this is something I've got to learn, and I might as well show you as we go. So if you want to get a feel on how I do my comparisons, check out this video here. Until next time, have a wonderful day, and God bless.